Hello everyone, this is Dr. K. Jagannayaki, Professor in MBA Department, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. Today's topic is market structures. So I would like to discuss with you what is the meaning of market, what do you mean by market structures, characteristics of market structure, features of market structure, what are the major determinants that influence market structure, and how to measure market structure and what are the different types of competition. So these points I'm going to discuss with you. So initially I'm going to start with market. See, in general, whenever we are using the word market, market means a place where the buying and selling activities of goods took place. So in case of market, the exchange activity is an economic activity. The buyer promises to pay some amount to the seller. In return, the seller promises to deliver the goods or services to the buyer. So a market, in simple terms, it is defined as the sum total of all the buyers and sellers in the area or region under consideration. The area may be anything, it may be earth or other countries, regions, states or cities. So it is a place where both buyers and sellers together come to do an exchange activity. So previously in older system, we used to have barter system. So barter system means exchange of goods for goods. But later on, now we can see that exchange of goods or services in the form of money transactions. So coming to the elements of a market, basically there are two parties. One is the buyer, another one is seller. The buyer is also known as the customer, whereas the seller also known as marketer. So exchange of goods, services, and some cases they used to exchange information at a mutually agreed price. So both people they should have consent at what price, how much quantity, and at what place they have to exchange the goods for money. So that should be decided in case of a market. Coming to the market structure, in economics, it refers to how different industries are classified and differentiated based on their degree and nature of competition for goods and services. It is based on the characteristics that influence the buyer and outcomes of companies working in a specific market. So we can see that there is a lot of differentiation in terms of the products and services in various markets, in terms of price, in terms of quality, in terms of package. So there will be a lot of differences in these products and services. It depends upon the type of market and also the behavior of the customers. Based on that, there will be some kind of variation in all these determinants. So some of the factors that determine a market structure includes number of buyers and sellers, ability to negotiate, the bargaining power of the consumer, degree of concentration, and degree of differentiation of products, and the ease or difficulty of entering and existing in the market. So based on that, we'll have different types of market structures. So how to understand the market structures? So market structures can be understood well by closely examining a few factors or features exhibited by different players. So it is very common to differentiate these markets across the following 7 distinct features. The first one is industry's buyer structure. What kind of industry it is, and number of buyers and number of sellers. Based on that, we'll have different types of market structures. the turnover of customers, the extent of product differentiation, nature of cost of inputs, the number of players in the market, vertical integration, extent in the same industry, and the largest player's market share. So we used to decide the buyer structure. See, in marketing, when you are talking about the buyer and seller, poly means the seller and spony means the buyer. So based on the seller, number of sellers and number of buyers, we used to decide the market structure. And it is also depends on the type of competition available in the market, whether it is perfect competition or imperfect competition. Based on that, we'll decide the market structure. And coming to the characteristics of market structure based on the area. Area in the sense here we are going to consider the geographical region. Based on that, we'll decide the market structure. Based on the commodity, number of buyers and sellers, based on the competition, whether it is free competition or there will be tough competition among the players in the markets, and it depends on the price also. So there are different kinds of firms, like we'll decide if you have a large number of firms available and those who are going to produce homogeneous goods and services, it means that identical product. And some many firms they will similar but not identical products, and few firms are identical or similar products and one firm no similar product. So these are the characteristics of market structure. Then coming to the market structure, the industry's buyer structure we said. So whether you have few buyers or more buyers, so based on that we'll decide the type of competition, the turnover of customers, how many customers they're most frequently making purchases with your products and services, that can be decided with the help of customers turnover, the extent of product differentiation. If you can find there are some kind of similarities or dissimilarities in a particular product, how your product is unique than your competitor, in which way you are creating product differentiation. Based on that also we can decide the type of structure, the nature of cost of inputs. So in different companies they used to incur different kinds of cost, whether it is fixed cost will be more than variable cost or else some other types of inputs like raw materials, labor cost. All those things we used to consider. Again, it depends on whether it is a manufacturing good or a service oriented, whether it is tangible or intangible. Basing on that, the cost of inputs also vary from one type of market to another market. The number of players in the markets. So how many buyers and how many sellers are there in the market? So based on that, we'll decide the size of this market structure. Vertical integration extent in the same industry. See, if we are talking about the growth, how the growth of the company, if you are going to compare with the industry, whether it is expanding vertically or horizontally. But in most of the cases, we'll consider vertical integration. So that will be from the same industry. Based on that, we'll decide the performance of a particular firm and the largest player's market share. So in the entire market, which firm will have the major share? So based on that, also will decide the size of market structure. Then coming to the determinants of market structure. So these determinants, also known as the factors that influence market structure, the number and nature of sellers. See here we used to consider five things as the major determinants. One is buyer power, supplier power, barriers to enter, threat of substitute, and all these things connected with rivalry. Rivalry in the sense competitors. So initially we have to analyze the competitors, whether the companies may supply the goods, whatever demand they got from the market, from the buyer's end, that we have to see what kind of entry exist barriers in the market. Do they have any kind of freedom? They can easily enter and exist from the market. So all these things we used to consider. The number and nature of buyers, the nature of the product, whether it is good, physical good or a service, the conditions of entry into and exist from the market. So in some markets, we can easily enter and we can also exit. There is no entry exit barriers. Whereas if you want to enter into global level, there will be some kind of entry exit barriers. So just simply a new entrant they cannot enter into the market. Then economies of scale. So what kind of cost benefits the firms may avail internally and from external environment. So from the government side, what kind of benefits like subsidies and other kind of relaxations they used to get to promote their business. So that is also decided in case of deciding the market structure. And coming to the measurement of market structure, so if you see the number and distribution of firms in a market, so we used to decide N firm concentration ratio. So what do you mean by this N firm concentration ratio? Means whenever you are going to combine the market share of N largest firms in a market, so there will be N number of largest firms available in a market. So whenever you are going to consider as a collectively all the firms together and what is the most common size, whether we should consider as the firm's concentration ratio. So in general we used to consider 4 firms and basing on that we'll decide the ratio like 8, 20 and 50 and also used. And it should not be impacted by changes in the shades of smaller firms. And this kind of index is known as Herfindahl-Hirschman index. So this can be decided sum of SI square. SI square means market share of firm I. So when you are talking about market share of an individual firm with the industry size, so obviously it will be less comparatively that of the concentration ratio. Then coming to the significance of market structure. So how generally the firms compete with each other. So there are different kinds of things we are going to discuss here. Pay for best workers. So the main strength of any organization is their employees. So firms may want to employ top and chief and best footballers. See, like marketing is also one type of game where we used to talk about the competitors. We used to treat them as rivals. So how to compete with your rivals, with the other firms that are existing in the same market. So that is the reason whenever we are selecting the employees or the best workers, it depends on their skills, abilities. Basing on that, they are ready to pay high amount, and as a result, they can utilize their expertise to compete with their competitors. Then sometimes we used to analyze the online reviews. So most of the cases, because of digitalization, firms may seek to gain better online reviews. So basing on that, they will analyze their customer feedback. And next one is location or convenience. So coming to the location or convenience, for some services, being in the right location is most important. So there are certain things you cannot find out in all the markets. Like if you talk about iPhones kind of thing, Apple phones, only in selected showrooms we used to get the things. So if you decide the right location so that it becomes convenient to the customer, so directly they can reach over there and they can make purchases. So that kind of facilities we have to provide. And next, coming to the new products, see, anticipating trends in markets by developing new products. So how can the people or the companies, they will come out with new creative ideas. So it depends on the customer reviews, their feedback, what exactly they are expecting from the companies, what kind of feedback they used to get from the people. So based on that, the companies, they also come out with new products and new services. Then next, advertisement. So advertising is the most effective way of reaching the customer. So by way of advertising, it is one type of, there are different types of advertising media, one type of promotional activity through which the companies, they can improve their brand recognition and brand loyalty. So that is the reason we have the companies, they have to go with advertisements in social medias, in other modes they used to follow so that they can very easily reach the customer. Then next one is customization. Customers increasingly wish to purchase products modified to their taste and preferences. See, customization means it is based on the customer choices, their taste and preferences. Based on customers' demand only, the companies has to produce the goods and services. So that is known as customization. So previously, the marketing activity should be push strategies. What does mean? Push strategy means generally companies, what they used to do, they used to produce the goods and services without considering the willingness of customers, and they forcibly introduce into the market, and by force even the consumers or customers also, they have to purchase those products and services irrespective of their taste and preferences. But nowadays everything becomes customized. So based on it becomes full strategy. So whatever the customer they want, they used to get from the companies based on their taste and preferences. So that is known as full strategy. And next, loss leaders. So giving some discounts to give impression of good value. So generally, most of the companies, they will go this type of strategies so that they can easily compete with their competitors by providing some kind of discounts, some offers kind of thing, so that they can grab a large volume of customers. So these are the ways how generally the firms compete with each other. Then coming to the types of competition. So basically there are two types of competition. One is direct competition, another one is indirect competition. The direct competition is known as perfect competition, and indirect competition is also known as imperfect competition. So coming to monopoly power. So previously I said in terms of the seller point of view, we are talking about monopoly. Poly means seller. In case of perfect competition, there is no question of monopoly power because there will be large number of sellers available in the market who deal with homogeneous or identical type of goods and services. But whereas monopoly power we can see in case of imperfect competition. Coming to the number of buyers, in case of perfect competition, there are many buyers available in the market, whereas in case of imperfect competition, it depends. In some cases, we used to have more number of buyers, in some cases few. when you are going to compare with perfect competition, it may vary. Then coming to the number of sellers, in perfect competition, there are many sellers available in the market, whereas in case of imperfect competition, few sellers available in the market. Next, ease of entry and exit. So, if you want to enter into perfect competition, entry and exit, it is very easy. There is no barriers at all. But whereas in case of imperfect markets, it is difficult to enter and exit from the market. Then nature of products. In case of perfect competition, homogeneous products means all the sellers they used to produce identical goods and services. But whereas in case of imperfect competition, the sellers they used to produce heterogeneous different types of products that we can see in case of imperfect competition. Then availability of market information. So whatever information we used to get related to the market conditions, the prevailing cost, the prices, everything we used to have a perfect information, but that may not be possible in case of imperfect competition. Then coming to the types of market structures. So basically we have four types of market structures which include perfect competition, oligopoly market, monopoly market and monopolistic competition. So market structures show the relations between sellers and other sellers to buyers or more. So based on the type of competition, we have divided basically into two types. One is perfect competition, another one is imperfect competition. So imperfect competition further divided into monopoly, duopoly, oligopoly and monopolistic competition. So this is the structure of markets based on the competition. So if you observe any kind of market structure, it will have two things, extremity, one is perfect, another one is imperfect. So imperfect competition, monopolistic competition, oligopoly and monopoly, whereas perfect competition, there is no such kind of differences and most competitive and no DWL and P is equal to MC. Here, if you see that the price of product, it is always equal to marginal cost, whereas in case of imperfect markets, we cannot find tough competition among the sellers. But here we always see that the price of the good is always greater than marginal cost. Then imperfect competition of market structures. So market structure that does not meet the conditions of perfect competition, that is said to be an imperfect competition. See, there are barriers to entry, so easily you cannot enter into imperfect markets and any factors that it hard for a new firm to enter a market. So facilities, equipment, licensing, expertise, all these things, it is somewhat difficult. Everywhere there should be some kind of restrictions for imperfect markets. Startup cost, expenses that a firm must pay before it can start the business. They have to pay some in the form of startup cost. That we can see in case of imperfect competition, but it may not be applicable to the perfect markets. So based on imperfect competition, there are four types of two things mainly we have to discuss about the buyers and sellers. Monopolistic competition, oligopoly, oligospony, monopoly and monospony. So here we are going to study about the sellers as well as about the buyers.
Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.